Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
Scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
On. Hey everybody, welcome to the live stream. I am your host, Ashton Forbes. Guys, thank you so much for being here. It has been an emotional day, I cannot lie. And I have so many thoughts going through my head, guys. So first of all, I just want to thank all of MH370X and all of the admins that have been with us, helping out with all of this entire way. I guess the first thing I would say is this. The very first thing is this. Is I have been saying for 2 years that warp drives are real, that wormholes are real, that free energy, cold fusion has been cracked and been figured out, and that everything that I'm saying will be proven true over the passage of time. And it's happening a lot faster than what I even expected. In fact, it might be happening too fast to the point where people can't even absorb this information. And it worries me a little bit. So let's just get going right here. First of all, we already have some donos. Wow, thank you very much. Necro Google. In the ER bridge, and meaning Einstein-Rosen bridge, is interesting. Thank you for this huge donation, by the way. Jeez. Following the Pais effect, the orbs are creating an A field. Then the fourth orb will be predetermined location of positive. Oh, minus field, positive, but equal charge to aim the exit bubble. 3 make entrance, 4th makes the exit. So what Necro Google here is saying is he's saying, okay, if you're saying, we're already getting into it, guys. We're not even waiting. We're not waiting. We're just going right into it. If you're saying you've got your Boeing 777 flying around and you're going to slingshot this bad boy, I'm not going to actually do it because it'll probably go through the window or something. You're going to slingshot this, then you need to have a total charge needs to be equal. The total energy needs to be equal. If I'm going to remove the energy from the plane here, move it over here, that we should have negative charge here, positive charge here. So he's saying the 3 orbs on one side should be like negative, and then on the other side, the 4th orb is positive so that they can slingshot with the rubber band. I've thought about that. I bounced that idea off Dave Rossi, who's the one who came up with the 4th orb hypothesis, and he came back with a slightly different approach, where like 2 of them are positive and 2 of them are negative. Truly, I don't know. I don't know. What I will say is this, especially because this is a huge donation, is that I've learned a lot about these orbs, and I'm going to spill the tea about all of it tonight, and I'm not even going to wait that long to spill all of it. And there's still more to learn. There's still more to learn, and I'm going to learn everything about those orbs, including what is inside the orbs that we can't even see. Because I know there's something inside those orbs making those things coherent. They're not moving around like that without some type of communication mechanism, which requires something on the inside. But again, thank you for that donation. Guys, chill on the donos so I haven't even got to my first thing on my list yet. Quinn. So, Benny's people have reached out. We're planning it for tomorrow. Actually, that was the reason why I was delayed. It looks like it's just been confirmed. Tomorrow, going to be live with Benny and going to be live with Redacted tomorrow. So check it out. I got permission from my work as well to go on live during my my break. It's not going to be very long, like 10, 15 minutes or something like that. But it's going to be awesome. First time talking to Benny. 3rd time talking to Clayton Morris. And with Clayton Morris on Redacted, definitely going to talk about the Tucker Carlson interview. And we got to clear some stuff up. In fact, the first thing we're going to have to clear up is that we have this technology. We have to stop pretending. In fact, this is one of my things here, is that there is no alien physics. That's not a thing. Get that through your head, everybody that's out there right now. There's no such thing as alien physics or alien science or alien technology. There's just science, there's just physics, and there's just technology. Anything aliens can figure out how to do, we can figure out how to do as well. The technology that's being hidden is our power. I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. It's our power. It's not their power. It's not the power of the people hiding that shit. It's a property of the universe that we as human beings should have access to, should know exists. It's like keeping fire from somebody. You wouldn't keep fire from someone, although maybe they did. Jesus, who knows these days? Everybody has been ignoring when I say everybody, I mean the mainstream type people. Joe Rogan, Sean Ryan, Lex Friedman, all the UFO people for the most part. Everybody's been ignoring me, ignoring this community, ignoring the videos, thinking that if they just ignore it long enough, it'll go away. I'm here, especially tonight, to say that what you witnessed today with this swell of interest, that's never going away. And no matter how much you avoid us, this community, our paths are going to cross. And the longer it takes for those paths to cross, the more awkward it's going to be when we finally have that conversation. There is no reason these people should be terrified to talk to me. But they are. They are terrorists. Some of them justifiably so, because they think, who is this guy? He says he's just some random healthcare IT guy. Yep. And some of them know that the videos are real. They know that the science is real, and they're gatekeeping it. Gatekeeping it from the public. 100%. As I was saying, let's do a couple more donos, guys. ZPE is consciousness. Thank you very much, Tony M. I appreciate it. That's another thing that probably ontologically will shock people, is that if there is this 0 point energy out there that can be tapped into, then is this the source of our souls, of our consciousness? A lot of people are going to be asking that question. They're already asking it now, and we're not even at the point where it's accepted yet. So just keep that in mind. And then Too Close, thank you very much for that donation. Okay, guys, let's just get right into it then. We are witnessing something magical here today. And just in general, I think that you guys can feel it. I know I can feel it. History is being made, and you are in the middle of it. One thing I realized yesterday when I was kind of going through, even after we had our stream on Monday, going through the equations, going through the math, I realized that AI is going to solve the MH370 videos like soon. We're not talking like decades, like years at the most. Once they can accurately look at a video, it's going to figure out that it's 100% consistent with physics. In fact, to take it to another level, even beyond that, remember the letter to Ashton Forbes, which I posted today on my Twitter Twitter channel. It said that once they figured out quantum computers, this technology took off. It really makes you wonder if once they figured out AI, the technology took off. And that's what they mean by quantum computers. You know, one of the things, there's not a lot of uses for quantum computers, but one of the things that I imagine they would use quantum computers for is to vector 3 objects in a 3-dimensional environment. Because getting like autopilot to work in a 3-dimensional environment is very difficult. It's not like being on a road where all you have to do is go left and right. You have 3 dimensions you have to handle in real time. So when I see these triangle formations and orbs flying around, I think that must be getting controlled by AI. And if these are balls of plasma, a ball of lightning that's been somehow put in this stable ball shape, the answer to how did they do that? How do they make this stable ball of plasma is that the moment they fed the equations, Maxwell's equations, into the AI and said, do this plasma analysis, it's going to find out. Then you can set up the right motion in the plasma, and you're going to have this probably like counter centrifugal force that's going to cause the plasma to stay stuck together. That's it. The AI would have figured it out instantly and said that, yes, under these conditions, according to Maxwell's equations, using the Poynting vector, we can make a system where there's not a radiation of energy outside this bubble, magnetic bubble that we create. And then the AI just has to maintain that. You tell the AI, okay, maintain that. Here's your first disclosure. This is just a freebie, not even on my list over here. They've cracked cold fusion for decades. Decades. All of this, just seeing a plasma ball be coherent and not just dissipating. Like when lightning strikes, it strikes and then it's gone. If I say, people talk about, oh, ball lightning is this natural phenomenon. And it was John D'Souza who was saying that it's so ridiculous that people talk about, like, well, who's walked around and saw like just a ball of electricity floating around? Who's actually seen lightning just chilling? I've never seen that. I've never heard of that. Never seen a video of that either. You're telling me that's natural? No. You have to manipulate the electromagnetic fields in an artificial way to get this to work and become coherent. Now, could nature randomly make it happen? Sure, but I don't think it's going to stay stable for more than a few seconds. Right? So, they've figured out fusion. Why? How have they figured out fusion? Because it was never about temperature. Everybody talking to you about temperature and heating up your plasma, they're gaslighting the shit out of you. Even Avi Loeb is gaslighting people today on the X Space. Talking about, well, you can't get the temperature. We're never, ever, ever going to crack fusion looking at it through the lens of increasing the temperature. It was always about gravity. When you look at that plasma ball, you say, how is this plasma ball stuck in a spherical shape? And if they can do that, why are our plasma reactors, our fusion reactors, why do they have these big metal donuts around them? If they can just make it free floating, why does a fusion reactor not do that? And that's number one giveaway tonight, chat, is that all those fusion reactors are a scam. The way to do it would be to make your ball of plasma so that it just floats. And then you just change the mode on it by just moving something around on the inside. And now it's producing electricity for you. What I'm saying here is that these plasma balls have multiple purposes. They have multiple purposes. And the letter to Ashton Forbes also said that as well, is that you found one application of the technology. The plasma balls are not just for teleporting. It's a ball of electricity. You can do whatever you want with it. One more thing I want to say. We're going to look at some clips. We're going to start reacting tonight. We've got a lot to get through tonight, chat. We're going to react to some pretty amazing stuff. We are going to talk about surveillance capabilities and weapon capabilities by the United States government. And we're going to talk about plasma orbs. We're going to get it all in tonight. So I hope you guys are ready for the show. It's going to be great. Let's do a couple more super chats and then we'll run right into this. I'm legit worried about your safety. Look at it like this, guys. I don't have any children. I knew the risks of getting along in this, and I have no fear about what might happen. Also, look at it like this. Here's my message to people out there. I represent an idea. This has never been about my credibility, the credibility of Ashton Forbes. This has always been about, here's what the evidence shows. There are thousands of Ashton Forbeses out there just waiting to take my place. You can't stop an idea. This movement cannot be stopped. We are past the point of no return. That's not just a phrase. We literally are. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. People are waking up. It's not a matter of waking up everybody instantly. It's a matter of people slowly waking up to this. If they take me out, it's just going to accelerate that process. And even if you argue, okay, they still have to do it anyway, great. Somebody else is going to jump in. Maybe 10 more people will. We're like a hydra. You cut one head off, 2 more pop up. Good luck. Miss Avi, thank you very much for that donation. I appreciate you. And then Jacob. Yeah, and when it comes to the AIs, guys, is that you have to use the AI the right way. So this is also sneaking ahead on my talking points, but thank you for that donation, by the way, is that you have to look for the flaw in the physics. Make sure you are accounting for the assumptions that you are making. The AI will tell you what assumptions it's making. If the AI is trying to tell you space-time is empty, etc., you can change that assumption, and then you'll get, the answer you're looking for, potentially. But it's always important to make sure you're being transparent about the assumptions that you are making. Because if those assumptions end up being wrong, well, it turns out you probably weren't getting good data then. Okay? So, anyway, we'll talk about that more in a second. Yeah. Oh, he talked about me today. Okay. Yeah, we should get the clip on that as well. If anybody in the Discord can do that for me, I'd appreciate it so we can post that. Yeah, what doesn't surprise me is that also what you realize is a lot of people are coming back to me for a lot of this, which really shouldn't be that surprising because I'm literally saying that we have warp drives and wormhole technology. And that was something even 2 years ago that was so far beyond the paradigm that you just assumed the person had to be crazy. And I'm just here to say that from my perspective, I don't know what the hell do you want me to do? You find out that warp drive and wormhole technology is real. What do you want? What are you supposed to do with that? I mean, seriously, think about it. It actually is that far beyond the paradigm. But that's why I'm extremely proud of all you guys. Because disclosure, what is disclosure? This is important to bring up, even though it seems kind of bullshitty and cringy. Disclosure is actually a process of awakening. Disclosure is not Trump in the White House garden or whatever and saying aliens are real. No. Disclosure is us realizing the truth, waking up to it collectively. And then once it becomes self-evident, that's when they'll tell us the truth. When everybody already knows it. How fucked up is that? It's sad, but it's true. We're not going to get the truth until everybody already knows it. So if you are one of those people out there that thinks that the government is going to, through some task force or some shit, reveal the secret files of the truth, that is never going to happen. Because this is important. This is what's important to point out is that we are the ones struggling to catch up to where they're already at. They're 100 years more advanced than we are. I'm not exaggerating. They are 100 years beyond where we are at the public. We're the ones trying to update our perspective of reality to catch up to what they've already experimentally proven and in some cases engineered and built. This is another huge point, especially for the skeptics. And I'm not going to be ragging on anybody tonight. There is no mechanism for the government to release classified information. It doesn't exist. Who's gonna say, oh, now we're going to release this classified information? The president, maybe. But even they, have to serve the people. There is no mechanism to get secret information to the public. And it's by design. They set the system up that way intentionally. This is what Avi Loeb did not understand today. Or maybe he does and he's just gatekeeping. I don't know. Truthfully, I still love Professor Loeb. I think he's an extremely intelligent guy. And that's why I have a hard time believing that he doesn't know that we've figured out these double-layer plasma balls. The guy's specialty was plasma physics. couldn't figure out that we can make a coherent ball of plasma by just manipulating the electromagnetic field lines. I don't believe it. His point, though, is that, oh, well, we would already have had it. We would already have had it. Or why haven't the studies been made publicly available? Well, because the system was set up in a way so that we can't. And he also said, well, oh, everything was leaking during the Manhattan Project. It would have leaked out. Well, it did leak out. This has been leaking out. How do you think that I figured out about this? It's not because I independently solved physics. I found the people that have been leaking it out. That's it. There's a lot of them for a long, long time. The government learned from the Manhattan Project. They learned from the Manhattan Project, and they made the next iteration impossible to leak out. Well, nothing's really impossible, but when it happens, nobody has any credibility that leaks it out. You have a Bob Lazar situation, so what? It's just one man's word versus the government. The debunkers will ruin that man's career and credibility without the government even asking. And that's what they did to Bob Lazar. So it's very important to realize that there is no mechanism to have this information come out publicly. So if you are thinking like Avi was, just show me. He says, Sal Pais needs to show me how we can achieve these energy densities with the plasmas, even though it says right in the papers. Cold plasmas, non-equilibrium, charge separation. Sal Pais works for the U.S. Navy on secret projects, presumably. He's not going to show you shit. He can't, even if he wanted to, which he doesn't. I think it's crazy to have this weird, and it's always academics that have this weird expectation that like, oh, Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman and the Department of Energy should just be sharing all of they would be telling me if they had some breakthroughs. They would just tell me. They wouldn't keep that for themselves. No. Humans aren't greedy. No. Come on, man. It's actually crazy that people think that Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman couldn't possibly have figured out aspects of physics that academia hasn't figured out. And the last part on this is that I told him as well, and I'm going to say today everything I'm going to say tomorrow, and everything I kind of said to Avi as well, is that these people have figured this type of technology out. They have no obligation to share it with anybody that's out there. And this is what makes it so easy for them to be able to hide this stuff. Is that if you have no way to prove that it's out there, then from a mainstream perspective, we're never really going to believe it. The last thing Avi said was that the energy levels required to produce the curvature aren't feasible, and negative energy would have been found by the Large Hadron Collider at CERN, which I kind of agree. It probably should have been found. Probably should have. But there might be a reason, too. So it could be that they're being sabotaged, possibly. It also could be that like a straight up linear collider with just like going like this, maybe that's just not the right topology to get the effects that we're looking for. Maybe we need vortex motion. Maybe we need resonance. So this is where I think that it seems really naive to assume that people are going to show you everything from a secret project standpoint, that all this stuff would be leaking out, even though it is, and then we just ignore it. Oh, and what I told him was, I said, Avi, if it were to turn out that we really do have this new perspective on old physics, where we don't need new physics, we just had to look at it through a different lens, and all of academia missed it, All of academia missed it. And just like Avi said, they should have found it. It was right there. They all should have found it. There's no excuse whatsoever. Shouldn't have been able to be hidden. What is the takeaway for academia? What should academia take away? What should we think about the peer review process? If it turns out that all these people should have figured this stuff out, CERN should have figured it out, we spent tens of billions of dollars on CERN, never discovered anything useful. What's our takeaway? The reason why I say this and go on this rant is because it's very scary to think that, holy shit, everything is a lie. Academia has failed us completely. The peer review process is so dysfunctional that it absolutely must be destroyed and redone. If they couldn't figure out gravity, they couldn't figure out gravity. And everybody that figured it out, the academic process, not only did they not review it, they rejected it. They tried to discredit them and destroy them. What should be the punishment for space and time manipulation technology being real and academia not figuring it out? To me, the punishment is it's the end of academia. It's the end of the peer review process. Anybody, anywhere can publish a paper and anybody can review it. We have one worldwide network system of uploading papers to a cloud that's backed up. And everybody has the same fair shake at everything. No gatekeeping. To me, that's the answer. Okay, guys, let's get into some spicy stuff. Okay. Right off the bat. Oh, did I pull the clips? Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, let's pull the big one, guys. I just realized I didn't have it. Hold on. Grabbing it right now. Okay, if you've been living under a rock, the advisor to the White House yesterday, science and technology advisor to the White House, Michael Kratsios. He's got it's a Greek name. I know that much. It's good enough, okay? He's got a Greek name. He said this.
Passenger planes are slower than they used to be. Our trains crawl compared to those in other parts of the world. Our cars do not fly. Advances have not stopped, but something has gone wrong. Stagnation was a choice. We have weighed down our builders and innovators. The well-intentioned regulatory regime of the 1970s became an ever-tightening ratchet, first hampering America's ability to become a net energy exporter and then making it harder and harder to build. We seem to have lost focus and vision, to have lowered our sights and let systems and structures and bureaucracies muddle us along. But we are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow and improve productivity.
Wow. We have the technology to manipulate time and space. And when I listened to that, I just thought, holy crap. Like, what the context makes it actually even crazier. Like, he's sitting there at the beginning saying that we made a choice to hold ourselves back. And then he references the 1970s, which is not random. The 1970s was when the Mansfield Amendment was passed. And the Mansfield Amendment, if you're not familiar, basically there was this big political drama because military money was being spent on research that people didn't think was military related. Kind of like the USAID stuff going on right now. Similar, not the same, but. And so they passed and said, you got to stop spending money on that. So what this did was that gravity research got pushed to Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman because gravity research is harder. First of all, it was secret. It's harder to argue that it is directly related to military applications, even though, of course, it is. So weird that he's bringing up the Mansfield Amendment and then talking about like our cars haven't got it, our propulsion hasn't got any faster. Like people were coping so hard to say that, oh, he's using a metaphor. He's not using any metaphor in there, guys. Like there's no metaphor in here. I'm just going to reread it again. Stagnation was a choice. We weighed down our builders. Our well-intentioned regulatory regime of the 70s became an ever-tightening ratchet. Weren't this 70s Reagan? It says, hampering America's ability to become a net energy exporter. So he's directly talking about energy now. The context is energy. The context is energy. We seem to have lost that focus and vision and had to lower our sights to let systems and structures, but we are capable of so much more. I literally used that exact line. I think it was in the link to this live stream about what humanity is capable of. So he says, we are capable of so much more. And then he gets, when you watch the actual video, which I just showed you, he's not joking, he's somber, he's just speaking very monotonely, just says, our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. But that's not enough. He says, they leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow, and improve productivity. Okay, this is just my first thoughts. If I was like someone say, here's a test. What do you think of when you hear space and time? I think of gravity. Manipulating space and time is manipulating gravity. Wow. Okay. What do you think of when you hear leaving distance annihilated? I think of teleportation right away. Some people might think of remote viewing. I think of teleportation. Look at the board. Teleportation is number one on the board, right? And then cause things to grow. The weird part about the way he says cause things to grow, if you were talking about industry, you would talk about like industry growth. When you say cause things to grow in English, you're usually talking about like a plant or a person growing. And the weird part about this is plasma is well documented that it improves growth. It improves growth. Yeah, some people in the chat are already freaking out. Chat, you guys are on one tonight, by the way. So it improves growth of plants. You can put plasma next to your plants. Apparently, like it's proven to make them grow more. Wild. You can find videos about it. I think the Plasma channel, I think, has a video on it. So the first three things, time and space, gravity, leaving distance annihilated, teleportation, cause things to grow, weird relationship between plasma and biology, and then improve productivity. AI. Right? AI? What improves productivity the most? AI does. I'm just actually reading it again right now. I'm reading it again right now because it's so on the nose that it almost feels like it's like a letter to me. Like it actually feels like they were like just took one of my posts and just copied it. It's so weird. Like, how is this actually a thing? Our technologies, we're capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. I'm just laughing because I just can't believe it, chat. They leave distance annihilated, cause things to grow, and improve productivity. One person was going, oh, they're talking about cell phones. The amount of cope happening from people trying to rationalize these paragraphs are absolutely amazing. When I read it in context, I was just like, what? And just totally being honest here too, like we were kind of in a lull for like the last month and a half. And then the last week has just been absolutely insane because we also had Trump just a few days ago. Like it wasn't even a week ago, right? How long ago? Like, how is this all happening at once? Where is it? Oh, I've got so much stuff now already. Here it is.
And we're very powerful. This country is very powerful. Let me tell you, it's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close. So nobody's going to do that, but I think that if that's what you're referring to, maybe it's not. But just
wow. I mean, that was the real eye-opener. You know, here's the thing, guys. Here's another spicy take for you guys. Let's get comfortable. People were saying, oh, if Trump gets into office, if we were hiding any technology or UFOs or whatever, Trump would spill the tea. Trump would tell everybody about it. Here he is, just speaking very directly, not joking, clearly being serious, just straight up says, we have weapons nobody understands. Our adversaries, when you say they don't understand, you're saying like they don't understand the physics of how they work. That's like the context there. They don't understand the physics of the stuff that we have. We have stuff it's not even explosions, right? It's like EMP bombs. That's what Trump is saying there. So this is just hilarious. People are like, oh, Trump would say if there's aliens. And it turns out he's not saying if there's aliens because they probably don't give a shit about aliens. But he is out here spilling the tea about us having secret advanced technology. And I would almost guarantee that Trump got a talking to after that clip. It got a lot of attention on social media. And he was saying too much. Like, bro, don't say we have stuff that nobody understands, right? Don't say that. Like, that's probably what they told him. He didn't he didn't technically reveal any classified information, but you're kind of giving away the tea when dudes are on Twitter going, we've got warp drive technology, and then you go, hey, we've got stuff nobody understands. Yeah, you can't walk it back, right? Like, so he definitely got a talking to after that. And the part where he says at the end here, so they're not going to do that.
not even close. So nobody's going to do that. But
the way he shrugs right there, not even close. So nobody's going to do that. That is some straight up John Gotti mafia type shit. Like, no question, no doubt. My spider sense is going, that dude is speaking the 100% truth. He is not afraid of Russia or China. So we're just going to skip ahead here and say that, guys, I'm just going to say it. My last rant was about how we should just be tariffing the shit out of people. We should be. People were upset about this in the last stream. I'm going to double down on it. We have wormhole technology, teleportation technology, and free energy technology. We should be leveraging that military might economically for our people to prosper. That shouldn't be controversial. Instead of being taken advantage of. And we should be using that technology to build a competitive, comparative advantage so that we can be the world leaders in free energy plasma orbs. Instead of letting China catch up, China is going to be making the best plasma orbs, and our plasma orbs are going to suck and be twice as expensive. So we got to make it publicly known. We got to get it out there. Okay, let's see. Guys, I'm going to tell you a story right now, okay? I'm going to tell you guys something that I've told several podcasters in private, least the context of it. So for people that say like, oh, you're making that up. Well, there are a few podcasters that be say, you know, he told me that same thing. And I have to be vague about it because of my sources and potentially, you know, how it could get back to them. Okay, let's stop beating around the bush here, guys. Let's just get right into it. It is, sorry, I wrote down exactly how I wanted to phrase it. So part of the reason why I know the videos are real isn't just that there's definitely a cover up related to the plane. It's not that they're clearly military videos, just looking at them. It's not that the science is real as well, although those are part of the reasons. But another reason is because once upon a time, I saw an email, and one of the people that was on that email was Senator Marco Rubio. It was Senator Marco Rubio. I'm not going to say who else was exactly on that email, but I know. And I'm also going to say that based on the people that are on that email, it wasn't a random email that you send to coworkers in the office. Okay. Let's say a lot of email addresses with .mil at the end of them. Let's say that. A lot of email addresses with .mil at the end of them. Marco Rubio is now the Secretary of State. Is that what he is right now? And he also was a very big proponent of UFOs being a danger to our airspace, right? Oh, I haven't even said yet what it is. So the email that I saw led me to conclude that Marco Rubio is 100% aware of the MH370 videos and the plasma orb technology that I've been talking about for like 2 years, including like the history of this technology that you guys have seen us review on many streams, like Tom Bearden's stuff, just as an example, right? So I can't believe I'm saying this right now to 1,000 people, but our Secretary of State, he knows about the MH370 videos. I know for sure he knows. I mean, maybe you could say he doesn't read his emails or something. I don't know. I would think that somebody's reading an email that's got that kind of stuff going on it. And these people are just quiet about it. They're being quiet about it. There's one more thing that let me think if I can say this. It's really hard to like not give too much information because I mean, you imagine an email like this, pretty easy to figure out what he's talking about. I think I've given enough. Is that the email showed that he knows about the MH370 videos, that people are clearly talking about them behind the scenes in private correspondence. And that in that correspondence, it's not just, hey, have you seen this crazy shit? It's like, hey, the science around this technology is based on Tom Bearden's, phase conjugation and blah, blah, blah. And I'm giving this as an example. Hypothetical. It's not exactly what it said. You see something like that. You see an email like that. And I'm not going to say how I saw the email or what have you, and you go, holy fuck. Whew. God, that feels good to get off my chest, chat. I have been sitting on that shit for, I can't say exactly how long, but. So, yeah. I know the videos are real. I know that when you have Marco Rubio, who's the UFO senator guy, who's now blah, blah. Why do you guys think that I was saying that Marco Rubio is going to be vice president? Everybody hated Marco Rubio. And I'm going, he's going to be vice president. Why? Because he's fucking deep state. He knows about this shit. When you guys are talking about like, oh, the deep state's all the leftists or whatever. No, dude, this is some uniparty shit we got going on. People are going to shut up if they're told to shut up, and they're told they're going to get into a position of authority and a position of power if they shut up. So does Marco Rubio know about the plasma orbs? I'd say 99% chance, yeah. Yeah. He is at a minimum aware of them. Whether or not he believes or any of that, I don't know. Wild, man. You know what? I'll even say one more thing on it. There was another senator. On that email. I'm not even going to say who. There's another one. So let's try to get one of these people to lie about it. I want to hear them lie on national TV. I want to hear Marco Rubio lie on national TV and say, yes, no, he's never seen that MH370 videos. Nobody's ever told him about him before. I want to see him lie. Pretend this is T chat. Anyway, that's not all I have, but that's just all I wanted to share today on that part. Okay. Oh, yeah. Side note, chat, intermission. If you ever get a creepy letter addressed to you on a random YouTube channel that is written by a human but read by an AI, just do whatever it says. It's just good life advice. If somebody goes to all the trouble to make a long letter and change and hide their voice and what have you, especially if it's inspirational, just do it, man. Just do it. That's what I did. That's how I got to my point. That's how I got here, chat. You just do it. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about the letter to Ashton Forbes. We're not going to watch it all tonight, but I did post it earlier tonight. So if you are new to the case, the reason why I posted it is not because I think that the letter is 100% accurate, but the person that wrote that letter knows as much about the case as I do. And that's a rare thing. And they knew more about the technology then than probably I do now. So think about that. Whoever wrote that letter knew more about the plasma technology when they wrote that letter in January of 2024 than I know about the technology now in April of 2025. It's pretty interesting. So check that out if you guys have a chance. Okay, a few more meta things I want to address here, and then we're going to get into some more. I don't think we have time to watch it tonight, guys. There's a lot more stuff I want to get through here. Okay. Am I in on it? I'm going to be perfectly honest. Some people are actually wondering, am I in on this? Because at this point, you kind of have to wonder. I am literally even wondering, am I in on it? When you know people like Marco Rubio have been made aware of or briefed, however you want to talk about, however you want to say it, the videos, and then all of a sudden all this crazy shit's happening where like Trump is now just saying we have weapons no one understands. You got his top science advisor saying we can manipulate space and time, manipulate gravity. And it basically mirrors the narrative that I've been pushing. You really do have to wonder, am I being used? Now, I'm not in on it. I know I'm not working with anybody at the CIA. I never have been or anything like that. Kind of wish I was, though, truthfully. But that doesn't mean I'm not being used indirectly. It doesn't mean that I'm not being used indirectly. So it is certainly possible that I'm helping some faction that our goals are aligned. I mean, I'm just trying to tell people the truth about free energy type technology, 0-point energy, warp drives, wormholes, and what these defense contractors have figured out for a long time. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys understand that from that. I think about it a lot in terms of, what am I doing? And I'm very careful too, more than I used to be. I've learned a lot of lessons on being on social media about what I try to promote, what I try to retweet, what I try to, jump in on, so to speak. So when I saw stuff like this, I was like, wow, you can tell right away when something like this is huge. This is just absolutely huge. Huge for the White House to be making statements like this. I would go so far as to say that a statement like saying that we can manipulate space and time, that is bigger than the UFO alien disclosure people are ever going to get. That statement like that's bigger than they're ever going to get. because they just don't care about aliens. So, and why now? Why now? And this isn't that crazy of a question. I think the answer there is it's coming out anyway. I kind of addressed this before, is that AI is going to figure it out. I think that they know AI is going to figure it out because that's how they figured it out. They have a military AI. Sal basically told us this. It's not his fault. We're just really smart. They have a military AI, and they probably got the military AI started saying we can make plasma orbs. And what's going to happen is it's going to happen in the public too. In fact, it kind of already did. If you were watching the live stream on Monday, check it out if you didn't. It already basically is. As long as you give it the right assumptions, the AI can figure out how to make coherent balls of plasma. It can figure out how these balls of plasma are producing the effects that we're seeing with negative energy. Figure all of it out. It's actually just mind-blowing. So we might be on the clock. So why are they talking about it? Well, there's videos out there. People are getting millions of views talking about these videos that just expose the United States government. Our adversaries are also working on this technology. Now, keep in mind, I said that our adversaries have absolutely no chance in hell, but they're catching up. And at some point, they will also reach the technology singularity. And when they do, then we're back to Mexican standoff again. We're back to Mexican standoff, and anybody can destroy the planet at any point. So this is another reason why now? Well, they've been hiding it for probably 80 years or more. 80 years or more. At some point, I guess it took 80 years for us to finally figure it out, to finally start waking up. So that's why now. Maybe it's also because of Trump. I don't know. I truthfully don't know what Trump is thinking. Okay. Another last thing that we need to address is, where is the line on national security? We can't really keep pretending like we're just LARPing. I mean, we are way past the line of national security right now. We're so far past it. With that line, I don't even know where it is anymore. Chat. I am extremely confident that we have been exposing the United States' most secret superweapon beyond the Manhattan Project. If they have stuff beyond this, then, well, geez, man, we're already well into God mode in terms of power. So I don't know, guys. There are other worlds. If there are other universes, in most of those universes, I'm not the one disclosing the information. In fact, and probably in a lot of those universes, I'm the one gatekeeping it. What a sad irony is that I'm probably the gatekeeper in a lot of the universes. So I just want to give you guys that context. And I guess what I would say there is that although I have zero plans to delete anything, if you enjoy the content or if you enjoyed past live streams, I recommend you download them. This stuff is all real. And I could see a scenario at which some point government just comes down and says, all this has to go. Can't be on the internet anymore. Maybe not. But to me, I don't care. All that information is right here. And we're going to spill some more tea actually right now. So I think I've found the weak point in physics starting here. So I told you guys, what are we looking for? We're looking for the weak point in physics that we can find that says that is where we messed up. And I was planning on doing a deep dive on the science today, but we're going to push that because of all the stuff that was happening. So instead, here's a light dive, which is that we're wrong about light. Einstein was wrong about photons. They're not particles. They're not particles. They do have this property of this quantum unit that that Einstein saw. Why he won the Nobel Prize for the photoelectric effect is actually an amazing story. Highly recommend you guys check it out. But basically, they found that when they look at Einstein's equation for the photoelectric effect, it shows that photons, that energy is not a constant stream. It's not a constant stream. It's coming in packets. Energy is coming in packets. That's what Einstein realized. This is the whole basis for photon theory, particle theory. If it's coming in packets and you can change the size of the packet, then it must be a particle. Einstein was wrong. Light is not a particle. It's not. It's actually very easy to prove. It must be a wave. Absolutely must be a wave. I think I have the snippet that I can share for it. Actually, I'll probably save it because I have another surprise as well. I have lots of surprises today. Sounds like I'm going to talk with the NASA physicist, Dr. Yu. I'm extremely excited to talk to him. Had an email back and forth with him. Guy's just, I love that guy. I've been watching some of his clips. Somehow, I did not think, I mean, guys, I have to stop believing things are not possible because I thought there was no way in a million years I would ever respect anyone from NASA. I thought, not possible. No way I could ever respect anyone from NASA. It's like the JV team, basically, right? They're not playing against the big leagues. Dr. Yu single-handedly has flipped my perspective of NASA to the degree where I'm like, dude, why are you at NASA, bro? Like, let's get you out of there. Let's get you doing something worthwhile. So anyway, Dr. Yu basically says, and he's right, light is a stimulation. It's a disturbance in the medium. Light is a disturbance in the medium. When we see that light, that's a disturbance in the medium right there. We're not seeing particles shooting out from the light. That's not what's happening. There's not particles shooting out everywhere from that light. And he gives a really good example. I'm probably going to butcher it here. But imagine we're all in a room. We're in a square room. And in the middle of that room, there's a light. Well, for Einstein to be right, for all of us to see that light in the middle of the room, let's pretend like it's that light there. The photons must be shooting out from every direction and encase the entire room in photons. So the entire room is filled with these little tiny photons. But we know that seems ridiculous. That can't be how it's actually working. I'm going to try to get the clip of that because I probably butchered that, but I think he says it better than I did there. But the better one, and in the case that one isn't good enough for you, what's it called? The 3 polarized light. Hold on. I'm trying to remember the clip of it. Shit. Oh, I think this is it, actually. Here we go.
Here I'm playing around with polarized light. Sunlight is unpolarized.
Okay, here we go. This is the one that absolutely proves light is not a particle. Right? All we have to do is take 3 transparent sheets. If light was a particle, the light should be able to go through these sheets because they're transparent. But if you rotate it, now the light doesn't make it through. Boom. Right there. Whoops. Right there. That's proof. Light can't be a particle. Particle shouldn't be stopped by that. That shouldn't be stopping a particle. There's no secret quantum mesh. There's no way, there's no wall there. There's no physical barrier. The light should be able to transport right through that, but it's not. And so some people in the chat are probably saying, well, yes, Ashton, we know the particle wave duality of light. But do we? Why do we think it's a particle at all? It seems like the only reason why we believe that light is a particle is because of the quantum nature of the photon, of this spoon that can grow or shrink. This is also the basis for what we think of as like the ground state. maybe it's not the basis, but let's say it's related to the ground state of our hydrogen atom. Like how Puthoff said in 1987, the ground state of the hydrogen atom of his scientific paper. And what negative energy allows us to do, if we can achieve negative energy density, it will change the permittivity of space-time in that region. And we can potentially then allow for a situation where we are pulling this energy out. We can have a phase transition occur. So the example that was given, I think I have the numbers here. An electron has negative 13.6 electron volts. Hopefully that's the right number. Yeah. Okay. For the hydrogen atom. Now, the idea is negative 13.6. So we're 0 minus 13.6 energy. Okay. If we want to move up, we add some energy. We can move up our electron. Conventional physics says we cannot move down. Once you're at the ground state, that's it. I am a 0-point energy influencer because I'm here to tell you we can move down. The ground state of our hydrogen atom, negative 13.6, is not the lowest. It can go lower. It can go lower. And if we change the permittivity of the vacuum, if we change the refractive index of the vacuum using plasma as our medium, we can actually get to a situation where we cause the ground state of the hydrogen atom to change. So the ground state was 13.6. But if we contract space-time, now the electron gets closer to the ion. And if it does that, the ground state changes. So by using Hal Puthoff's polarizable vacuum, and I'll tell you how we're going to change the refractive index in a second. If we can change the refractive index of the medium around us, we can change the ground state of the hydrogen atom so that its lowest energy level is lower than where it's at right now. So what did we just do? We found out a trick. We just found out a trick. This is where I say, chat, I might have been wrong. I might have been wrong when I said that I'm not going to win a Nobel Prize. We might win a Nobel Prize for this. This is something that probably will win a Nobel. I mean, no, it's definitely going to win a Nobel Prize. It's just a matter of who's going to get it. What are we talking about? We're talking about negative energy. The first thing that anybody tells you, how do you produce a warp drive? How do you manipulate gravity? How do you manipulate space-time? Miguel Alcubierre's paper says you need negative energy to contract. Imagine a balloon shrinking. Contract the space-time in front of you. Pull the energy out of that space-time. Deflate your balloon. If you do that, you will just get pulled forward. The vacuum will pull you forward. The vacuum will try to reinflate the balloon, in fact. So negative energy has always been the answer. So when Avi Loeb was on the X Space today, he said, well, negative energy is the answer, but it doesn't exist. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And I have a really hard time believing that Avi Loeb doesn't know this, because he's the one that says space-time has an energy density. If space-time has a natural energy density, then there's something below what we think of as the bottom. That means we're not at the bottom. When we go up in outer space, there's something below that. And if that's possible, that we can pull some of the energy out of space-time, shrink the balloon down, that is going to change the physics. That's going to change the physical properties of the balloon. That's going to change the ground state of the hydrogen atom. So imagine a very simple scenario. The ground state of the hydrogen atom, the electron, is negative 13.6 eV right now. Let's say that I half the permittivity. I don't know if the math is going to work out here because I'm not staring at the equations, but imagine that after I change the refractive index, after I pull the energy out, change the permittivity of that balloon region of space-time, now the ground state of the hydrogen electron is now minus 27.2, double what it was before. That means there's an energy difference. There's an energy difference before I manipulated space-time and afterwards. It turns out now I have double the amount of potential energy that I've had previously, all by changing space-time. And you can change it as much as you want. The more or less you manipulate it, the more or less your permittivity is going to change, the more or less your hydrogen atom, its potential energy, negative energy, is going to increase. So because we are at this negative 13.6 and we're going down to negative 27, down, that is negative energy. We're doing something thought to be impossible, but actually is not. We are lowering the ground state of our hydrogen atom, and in doing so, we are producing negative energy. Now, of course, it's still just energy, but it's negative. Craziest part is I asked Grok about this. I think I told you guys before, I had fed Grok. Let me see here. Where's my history of this one? I think it's this one. I had fed Grok this information, and Grok basically came back and said that the way that we see the zap in the MH370 video, it matches what we would expect. So let me pull up this real quick. I'm actually going to show the Benny clip here. Here you go. I think it's this one.
And we're very powerful. This country's very powerful. Let me tell you, it's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close. So nobody's going to do that, but I think that if that's what you're referring to, maybe it's not.
What's up, guys? It's Benny.
Should be fun tomorrow, guys. Should be a fun one. So what you just saw there was negative energy. What you saw there. And for the people in the chat, I actually cannot explain the double slit experiment. That is going to be one of my top questions to every physicist I talk to, is even after all this, I still can't really explain the double slit experiment. So I'll be very curious to see what people say on how, like, especially Dr. Yu on the double slit experiment. So here's what we're talking about with negative energy. I simply asked AI to take 3 double layer plasma balls, which are positive and negative charge separated, and tell me what would happen if they're in a triangle formation and they converge on the plane, blah, 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 you know, to try to understand what we'd be seeing here in this event. And actually, under a scenario in which I described, the AI agreed. The AI agreed that this is a negative energy event that's happening, that it is a lowering, it would be consistent, let's say, with a lowering of the energy level of a hydrogen atom. I believe those things are mimicking hydrogen atoms. They look like a visualization of a hydrogen atom with an electron shell around it, which is what I would imagine one would look like if it really was a particle. So this is why this clip specifically is the most important video clip ever in the history of the world, because that is negative energy. And I'm going to explain how it's consistent as well. So let me go to my science part on the orbs. Oh, and here's the other thing about it. So I'm going to first explain, maybe I should just go in sequence here. Let me see here. Okay, I don't think I have this down there. So the orbs, because of what I just described, the ground state of the hydrogen atoms minus 13.6. Those orbs are cold. They're cold because they're not in an excited state thermally. Thermally, those orbs are not in an excited state. So it turns out what we just saw there is a low energy phase transition. You might say, Ashton, what the hell is a low energy phase transition? All they're doing is they're going from their ground state. Instead of going up, imagine an explosion, more energetic event. They're going down. They're going down. So instead of increasing in energy, they're decreasing in energy. So what is their initial state? Their initial state is, let's call it lukewarm. Imagine I don't want to use brands. Let's call this, this is coffee. We got this coffee here, and imagine my coffee is lukewarm, right? So my coffee is lukewarm, but I can make it even colder. I can make it even colder. So what the orbs are abusing is not the upward energy increase. They're abusing the decrease in energy. This is why we can see an energetic event, but we don't see heat being released. They're doing the opposite. It really is an endothermic event. They're doing the opposite of a release of energy in that video. It's actually mind-blowing to think about it. And so I asked Grok, what would happen? I couldn't even believe the response I got just from telling it about just plasma orbs. Grok came back and said, this type of energy release would have to be between, I believe, about 6 EVs and 120 EVs per hydrogen atom. So once again, each hydrogen atom is minus 13.6. So a 50% to 100% or 1,000% increase. And it said that there would be a release of ultraviolet or soft X-ray photons. If the orbs came together, they would release ultraviolet light. Wow. Wow. It all came together, chat. When I heard it, when I saw it on the screen, that the AI came up with this that I had never even considered, and I should have, because it's so obvious in retrospect. Why is there a flash of light? Why is there a flash of light, which is photons, which should be hot, but it's black in the thermal? What is the question that all the debunkers kept asking? Why is it white in this video, but it's black and cold in the other video? Because it's ultraviolet. It's ultraviolet light. Ultraviolet light is not visible to the naked eye. Ultraviolet light is not visible to the naked eye and shows up black in a thermal. Yahtzee, baby! The orbs are invisible. The orbs are invisible. Holy shit, the orbs are invisible. Catherine T couldn't see the zap. The zap was invisible. She wouldn't have seen shit. She couldn't even see the orbs. When we look at the orbs are blue. They're probably transparent. You probably can't even see the electron heat signature with your naked eye. The orbs are probably invisible, and the zap is ultraviolet. That's why it shows up as black in the thermal. It's a non-radiative, non-thermal release of energy. In fact, the AI told me this as well. It said the reason why you're seeing is it's a non-thermal release of energy. That's what we're seeing. And I just went, holy shit. Because if you guys have been watching Hard Truths podcasts, this is what Sal Pais has been saying the whole time. He's saying they don't adhere to a Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. A Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution is a temperature chart that shows you can't amplify energy beyond a certain point. It cuts off. And what Sal is saying is that we can actually change the size of the photon. Remember the photon packet? We can change the size of the packet. And we can change the size of the packet to a degree where it breaks conventional quantum mechanics. Allows us to go below zero or below 1 in the ground state. Below the ground state. Wow. The orbs are invisible and it's ultraviolet light being emitted. This actually blew my mind so much because I started to realize we can figure out the energy levels involved. We can figure out the energy levels involved because the AI was able to narrow down, just looking at the equations, the band of light that would be emitted to a very narrow band, relatively speaking. I mean, light band is huge. And the AI says you're going to either get ultraviolet or soft X-ray. That's a pretty narrow band. And you can work backwards and you can figure out, well, then what are the energy possibilities to go into this event? Now, the problem is that the AI is going to be discounting negative energy. Now, according to everything I researched, you just need a small amount of negative energy to create a warp drive. Why? Because now let's think about it. Let's be smart. Let's be smart. We have the ability to go like this. Go below zero. We can go below the ground state. Why do we need to go super far below it? Why do we need to go like this? Why can't we just go like this? Any amount of negative energy is huge. I mean, do we even know what hitting stuff with negative energy will do? Kind of. Yeah, it's going to make molecules fall apart. Lots of people showed that. Stan Meyer showed that. So maybe we just need a small phase change. Because even a small phase change, if you scale it up to Avogadro's number, the amount of electrons that can fit inside of an area, that's still huge. So what they figured out, what is the United States military figured out? Well, negative energy, for sure. But not only did they figure out negative energy, they figured out that they only need a tiny bit of negative energy, and they can cause a very low energy phase transition that can cause some pretty incredible effects. We saw it teleport an airplane away. Now, this is clearly how you reconcile the massive energy requirement that the academics and conventional classic view of physics says you need for a wormhole and mainstream academia. My guess is the way that the negative energy offsets the positive energy, or the way that it creates the bubble, makes it so that the energy requirement goes to basically nothing. Basically nothing. Okay, so a couple more comments now after saying all of that. First, Bob Grenier was right. Bob Grenier was right about those orbs. He was right the whole time. I didn't even understand what he was talking about in my first interview with Bob Grenier, so I'm going to have to set up another interview with Bob Grenier, talk about the orbs, talk about the plasma. I didn't even get what he was saying, half the words he was saying in the first interview. But now I know he was right. And so was Roy D. Herbert, time dilation theory, which is really just a matter of which came first. Did the mass and energy come first, or did the time come first? Or maybe they're just intertwined. But he was right, because Roy D. Herbert told me that the orbs were basically atoms. And I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. And now I can't not see it. Those are atoms. Those orbs are a positively charged center and a negatively charged outside. That's an atom. And Roy D. Herbert was probably the first physicist on Twitter to say that that is a phase change that's happening in the video. He said that. Phase change was happening. The UFO community was so triggered when he said that. And he supported me and said, that's a phase change, definitely, you're seeing right there. Yep. Definitely 100%. We're looking at a phase change in the MH370 videos. When I say phase change, you're seeing the hydrogen go down like this. And it doesn't have to be a big dip. It can just be a small dip. That's the crazy part. It's a small dip. And so what does this answer? This answers why the orbs are not white hot. Why are the orbs not white hot, guys? It's plasma. Those things should be white hot. Why are they not white hot? Why are they green? Because their energy state is low. They're not at an excited energy state at all. And when they do the zap, they go lower than this. They don't go up. That's why they're the same color as the plane. If this was a star or the sun, these things would be white. It's full white. These things are emitting either no energy or practically no light coming off these things. And this is how you can realize those orbs are invisible. Those orbs are invisible. When you're looking at the blue in the video of the orb, a real person is going to be looking right through that. That's just like looking at the atmosphere. I almost guarantee these orbs are invisible. And that is something that I have been wondering for so many years, even before MH370. Are UFOs just straight up invisible? Is that why we don't see them more often in the daytime? They can just easily be invisible. And I think the answer is yes. And I think these orbs can be invisible. And I think that's why we are recording in forward-looking infrared, also known as FLIR, is because we can see them in infrared and we can't see them with our eyes. That's why. Woo! Chat, we's cooking today. Okay. What do we got? Inquisitor Godflower. Yeah, they would tell us. Yeah, no, they're definitely not telling us. Especially, yeah, when they're using this for human smuggling or abducting airplanes. You think they're going to tell us about this technology? That was one thing that Avi is like, oh, they couldn't hide this. They would let us know. Guys, how can you be so naive, man? Look at all the evil shit the United States has done. We are the baddies, bro. We are the baddies. Rock Records, thank you very much. Glad you took the advice from the letter and stopped talking about the Miami aliens. Yeah, and that's how you can know that I'm not the person that wrote that. If I was some kind of psychopath that wrote that letter to myself, I'm not going to disparage myself twice in the same letter about Miami Mall aliens. That was an attack. I was personally attacked right there. But you know what? It was deserved. So, no, I definitely did not write that letter. It is also the craziest shit ever. Please, I really hope there's nothing crazier than that happens in my life. It's already weird enough, man. Troy, let's see, this is what I'm talking about right here. Future Ashton sent the letter, and future Ashton teleports MH370. Yeah, at some point we're going to have to address the time travel elephant in the room, but we're not there yet, guys. We're not there yet. Hamdurf, here from day one. Let's talk what's next move. How can we join some of our efforts? I think I have some stuff about that. I mean, honestly, guys, we don't need to do anything more. What's the next move? The next move is we sit back and we wait. We sit back and we wait. The whole point of this live stream right now and everybody watching is to send them another punch. Every single time they make a mistake, we're going to be there to capitalize on it. Every single time. When they go out there and say that we have the technology to manipulate space and time, I'm going to capitalize on it. Avi was saying today in the X Space, he was saying, just some White House guy saying that we have this isn't proof. Yeah, of course it's not proof. Nobody's out there saying this is proof we have this technology. What we're saying is it's pretty crazy this guy's saying we have this technology You've got people on social media also saying we have this technology and saying, hey, here's 2 military videos that show it that leaked on the internet. That's what's compelling to people. And so once again, we can't really do that much. What can we really do? We can't control the government. We can't go raid Area 51 or any of this other shit. We have to be smart, and we have to make decisive strikes the moment they mess up and start to leak information out, and we have to pounce on it. And in those moments, share all the information and use our words wisely. I can't stand sitting in these X spaces and interviews and people just go off and off on these stories forever and ever and ever. You got to think about what you're going to say when you have your moment on your podcast in front of the media. Don't go sit here and tell us your story about when you walked your dog or whatever, right? Just tell us what you need us to know. Wow, there's a lot more donations. Okay, a few more. 80 years, been researching quantum physics for 2 years. My background is in history, about October 1953. Well, thank you very much, Aaron. I appreciate that. I don't know what the context is, but I appreciate it. Yes, they've been hiding this for a long, long time. Dominique, you think people on the plane could feel the orbs? Possibly if they were alive. I don't really think the people were alive, but if they were, they probably, I think that they would have been able to feel like the plane kind of getting like jerked around like this a little bit as the orbs are spinning around them. Yeah, probably. Good question. And then Pantra 12, thank you very much for that. That's a new one. I don't know what that donation is, but thank you very much for whatever country you're coming from. I appreciate it. And thank you for being here, guys. This information is for the world as well. It really is for the world. Everybody should know about this science and technology because, especially in impoverished nations, this technology can change people's circumstances. Like, can literally save millions of lives every year immediately, just from having access to energy. You know, in the West and in America, we take this for granted, but not everybody has basic utilities like we do here. And then thank you for that follow-up donation, sir or ma'am. Appreciate you very much. Thank you. Okay, what's next? Okay, so there's no way Salvatore Pais does not know about these orbs. His patents are basically these orbs personified, or however you want to call it. So I don't know what the hell is going on behind the scenes, but the things are just not adding up. I don't know if Sal is like required by NDAs to lie to us, or if somebody else, if he knows somebody else has the orbs. But when I started, like, when you say, okay, what is the way to get that negative energy that we talked about? What is the way to produce that permittivity change? How do you do that? How do you make the ground state lower? Sal's patents have the answers in them directly. You produce an extremely powerful electromagnetic flux, specifically magnetic flux, in a region of space-time. That's the answer. Produce a very, very powerful electromagnetic flux. And what I'm going to say is that that's what the orbs are doing. That is what the orbs are doing when they're converging on the plane. And what is happening is something called magnetic reconnection. Yes, just like scientists talk about on the sun. You're seeing magnetic reconnection and intense bursts of electromagnetic flux and intensity as the orbs are coming together. And it reaches a point where it causes a breakdown of the vacuum, and it might even cause a cascading effect that happens instantaneously, where you get a negative energy that causes our hydrogen atoms, our orbs, to lower their energy state. Boom. So what happens? Pay close attention. I'm going to pull up the video. When I say flux, flux is a way of measuring electromagnetic density, intensity in a region of space-time. So when I'm talking about flux, I'm saying you got your electromagnetic intensity trapped in this little area. That's flux. Because otherwise, if it's just spread out, it's not going to be as impactful. It needs to be compact. into a small area. So you have your compact electromagnetic flux, and the orbs are coming together, and their energy is increasing exponentially. They are breaking the Schwinger limit, and they are breaking down the fabric of space-time. In doing this, it changes the permittivity. The orbs coming together, that is the thing that breaks down the permittivity. At some point, they get too close, and once they get too close, their magnetic fields start to overlap, and they become one. Okay. I imagine that process also triggers, if we're correct in our hypothesis about the fourth orb, that process also triggers this. So they come together, the magnetic field lines reconnect. They twist around because, you know, these orbs are coming together. They got complex magnetic fields. Boom. They snap, just like a wine glass shattering when an opera singer hits the right pitch. Boom. The hydrogen atom immediately, its ground state changes, and we see the release of the ultraviolet photons. So I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm going to show it the video because I definitely wasn't showing it right there. So we see our orbs are reorienting right here. They reorient so that they come together. When they come together, the moment they get too close, the orbs will basically become like one. Their magnetic field lines will reconnect, and you have this immense release of energy, which causes this negative energy pressure, this permittivity change in the vacuum in the region between them. So the region between them technically would be considered a vacuum, but they're creating this extremely powerful electromagnetic effect in it, which is actually changing the topology, the shape of space-time in that little region. And that actually changes the ground state of the hydrogen atom. Wow. And because that ground state goes down from 13.6 to a lower state, it's negative energy. It's negative energy, therefore it's an endothermic event. That energy has to show up somewhere else. I am, at this point, 99.9% sure we added a 0.9% that we're really looking at teleportation. That has to be teleportation. You wouldn't have a low energy phase transition to annihilate something. Well, maybe you would, but it's just too complicated. To me, this is simple. You're just sending a ripple in space-time. You're creating a ripple in space-time, not even a heavy one. You're just pressing down, and you're saying, create my ripple, boom. And now the plane just ripples through the ether, and it shows up over here. So you ripple down into it, you go bloop, down into the ether, and then you just appear over here. Oh, let's see. So here's the idea. Plane's flying along, our orbs hit it, bloop, and then all of a sudden, bloop, pops out. I think the answer is simple. Small, low energy phase transition causes a ripple in the ether and causes the entire plane to reappear on the other side. Gotta be. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, and one thing, the reason why I know for sure Sal's holding back. Sal's definitely holding back. Because I asked Sal about the flash of light. I'll pull it up again. I asked Sal, I said, Sal, in our first interview, I had no idea. You guys can go back to the old interviews. I said, Sal, why is there a flash of light here? Why does this flash of light exist? And he wouldn't answer. He got real coy about it. And he like smiled at me like what is it? He knew it was ultraviolet light. How do you not know it's ultraviolet light? He's like, oh, it's black in the thermal. Of course, it's ultraviolet light. That's what's happening. How did we just find this out now in 2025, 2 years later. This goes to show you guys there's still details about these videos that can be found. So you should really be skeptical when, especially when, and I pointed this out years ago, was that like the subreddit dedicated to this was never about trying to solve the case. Nobody on that subreddit who is unbanned was trying to solve the case. Most of them were just trying to make it go away, and they were successful. And their whole point was to make that subreddit die. And that's literally what has happened. The subreddit is dead now. And none of them ever contributed to the case. They never provided any evidence. All those people, all those debunkers, they present this aura of like, they're just trying to find the truth. They were never trying to find the truth. They never contributed to the case. They never tried to find anything. All they ever did was try to set up roadblocks, start to finish. The whole time, all they did was try to prevent us from finding the truth. Anybody could have figured this shit out about the UV light and what have you. Nobody ever did. Anyway, I think that the UV light thing is actually so big that that's actually a smoking gun. It's actually a smoking gun. There's no possibility whatsoever, no way in hell, that a random hoaxer was like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this release of photons, this flash, I'm going to make this cold in the thermal. I'm going to make this look like ultraviolet photons. Nobody in the world figured that out. I mean, maybe somebody out there did. You get my point. But nobody was saying that until tonight's stream right now. And yet, what? Some random hoaxer that had VFX skills better than lead, Marvel Studios people also somehow knew about releasing ultraviolet photons in wormholes back in 2014. No, guys, no. There's absolutely no way that the videos are fake. Not with details like that. And the last thing on that front is it goes to show way more people know that the videos are real than are speaking up. Way more do. It really, I shouldn't have, like, if I show someone like Avi Loeb's that and those orbs spinning around, somebody that understands plasma physics, the first thought in their head should be, wow, that looks a lot like an atom with an electron shell around it, right? Like, that's what I would imagine. So it really is bizarre that, like, we are finding these discoveries as we are learning the physics ourselves, as opposed to people who are credentialed physicists coming out and saying, that's ultraviolet light. That's the reason why it's not showing up on the thermal. How did nobody ever say that? Blows my mind, chat. That's a huge piece of evidence that would indicate the videos must be real. Huge. Okay. Let me see if there's any other major things I want to mention. Oh, yeah. Okay. I have a couple comments about the non-thermal emission. So I'm giving you guys the tea right now on the science. So this actually explains why Catherine T did not see the plane or see the zap. She didn't see the orbs. She couldn't see the orbs. And in fact, Catherine T might have saw the plane disappear, but she just maybe thought her eyes were playing tricks on her. It might have just looked like the plane was there and then just not there. So Catherine T probably couldn't see the orbs, couldn't even see what happened. So Catherine T almost certainly was the last human being on this earth to see MH370, other than the U.S. military. Almost sure. With respect to the orbs, there's another huge detail. They are showing soliton behavior. This was something that Ken Shoulders pointed out with his EVO research. I don't know if a lot of people know this. It wasn't just that you saw the charge come together. So Ken Shoulders studied these plasmas. He found they would self-organize, and he saw the electrons would group together when they shouldn't be. And he couldn't explain it. Now we know why. Can magnetohydrodynamics, and we can lower the energy state of our electrons, or of our hydrogen atom potentially. And so we can control our plasmas with magnetohydrodynamics perfectly. Soliton behavior means they're going to act as one. They're going to act coherently. That's soliton behavior. If you look at a soliton wave, it moves as one. That's the idea of a soliton wave. So when we look at the orbs, and I think I have another video. Let's see which one. Yeah, I think this one. When we look at this heat signature in here, and we can actually see it kind of like shift on the axis and spin around. Oh, that's not a great. This one is not great to show it. But in some of the other clips, you can see the heat signature kind of spin around on the axis with that perfect slice on it. That's showing the soliton behavior. The fact that they're all moving in unison like that shows us that there is this soliton behavior that's happening in the plasma. And this would indicate, in my opinion, could be wrong, that those are Bose-Einstein condensates, macroscopic ones. What's a Bose-Einstein condensate? It is basically a group of atoms that is acting as one when it shouldn't be, having these quantum effects of the macro scale. I think we're seeing that with the orb, and that's why it looks like an atom. It looks like an atom because it's a Bose-Einstein condensate of plasma at the macroscopic scale. It's actually incredible that they have figured out this technology. And I think maybe His Highness is right here, is that maybe the plane is becoming the nucleus, and they are electrons then spinning around it while also being little atoms themselves. As above, so below. As above, so below. That's basically alluding to the fractal nature of reality, so that things can get smaller and bigger, scale invariant. Pretty interesting. The orbs reversing direction. It's not that they reverse direction. It seems that they have different configurations. We spoke about this on Monday, is that they like lock in and then they start their stuff. So almost certainly they have different configurations of the flow of the plasma, and then that changes their orientation and the action that they do. And so when they change the flow of the plasma, then they can also converge as well in the plane. So you can imagine each of those configurations as having a set, let's say like, oh, up, down, and then maybe left and right on the different plasmas. And the AI would just manage that. You say change from configuration 1 to configuration 2. Simple. That's almost certainly how the orbs are working too. So yeah, so let me reiterate that. Here's another some tea for you. I would say my confidence on this is about 75%. 75% sure that they are using AI and that the orbs have configurations that they can set in relation to one another. Like this one's up, this one's down. And then depending on how they set those configurations, it's going to spin, or it's going to circle around the plane, or it's going to collapse on the object. And all of these different things have different purposes. One is to target the plane, potentially. One is to get in alignment and figure out where the fourth orb is. And then one might be preparing for the zap. People are saying Oshio yes in the chat. It's really hard for me to follow all these. Okay. Anyway. So what else do I have for you? Imbalance of electrostatic versus magnetostatic energy within the electron results in destructive wave interference, creating mass and charge. Altering this ratio would enable modulation of mass, inertia, and charge of fermionic matter at will. So they're saying if you were to mess with the imbalance of electric forces, electrostatic and magnetic static forces within the electron, you can change mass and inertia. Fermionic matter is anything that has substance, like my TV remote here. My hand doesn't go through the TV remote because it's fermions and it rejects it. If it was bosons, my hand would just go right through the TV remote. Energy of motion is stored in the electron's magnetic field. Increasing magnetic pressure causes the electron to shrink in size. That's huge. Why? Imagine two magnets, jamming them together. What's happening? You're increasing the magnetic pressure, right? That's why they're going to repel very powerfully. Jam your magnets together. It's going to increase the magnetic pressure. It says increasing the magnetic pressure would cause the electron to shrink in size. Zeroing out mass and charge enables ultra high acceleration, canceling of inertia, reduction of observable emission of spectra, including vehicle cloaking, interpretation of matter without impedance, nothing in your way, and remote de-energization of electric circuits, pulling the energy out. I'm not going to say who wrote that. Let's just say I have a secret behind the scenes inside info. But what I just wrote there basically describes that we could modify the mass and inertia of an object if we were to manipulate space-time, manipulate the properties of space-time. And we've been saying this for a long time. So it's consistent with what we've been talking about. Now, one more thing I want to read about the orbs. This is directly from Grok AI, speaking to non-thermal emission. The photons are emitted in the UV/soft X-ray range because the transition is a discrete quantum process, not a thermal one. Unlike thermal radiation, heat, which peaks in the infrared for cold plasmas, the energy release is specific to the quantized energy difference, producing high energy photons outside the IR range detected by thermal cameras. What does that mean, chat? What it means is that if you change the boundary condition, so I have some stuff in this space where you're watching me, right? All this stuff. If I make the walls of this screen shorter, I'm going to get smaller, right? Everything's going to have to scrunch together. That's exactly what manipulating the space-time metric, engineering the space-time metric, exactly what it's doing. We're not actually changing the hydrogen atom. We're changing the boundary conditions around the hydrogen atom, which de facto changes its ground energy state. What does this mean? This means 100% the ether is real, 0 point energy is real. That light is being emitted from the ether at its location. That light is not coming from the power plant. And it's certainly not a particle shooting around through the room. It's waves. What we're doing is we're changing the box of space-time, and this changes the properties of the hydrogen atom itself. And when this happens, what's the physical consequence? The energy release. Do you know what's so fucking crazy about what I just said? It's what Salvatore Pais has been saying the whole time. We can squeeze matter out of the vacuum. We can squeeze matter out of the vacuum. Why? Because if you squeeze it, you're reducing the ground state of the hydrogen atom, which what? Has this effect that we just saw, this release of energy. In fact, it can be massive depending on how much we squeeze it. The more we squeeze it, it's quite literally like squeezing a sponge. Squeeze the sponge of all the water inside of it. Change the properties of the sponge. Wow. That's what we're doing to space-time. And we only have to do it for a split second. We only need to change the properties of space-time for a split second, and this will cause a plane to teleport from one location to the next. Boom. Okay. Now, when I asked Grok about the math, basically it said the same thing that you would get from an academic or whatever. It would say that the amount of energy required is too massive. You can't get to that point. And again, this is where you combine a little bit of negative energy with Sal's, the EVO hypothesis of condensed charge higher than what the AI is going to think is possible. And that will, I believe, account for the missing energy requirement that we need. Oops, I pulled up the wrong one. One sec. Oh, yeah, there's one more thing here. It also said in real plasmas, ultraviolet emission is common in low temperature, partially ionized systems, e.g. glow discharges. And soft X-rays can occur in denser, more energetic plasmas. And then they had some math here that didn't come across great. So anyway, I thought that was huge. So when I say that AI is going to figure this stuff out, guys, AI is going to figure it out. No question, AI is going to figure this stuff out. I mean, if I'm getting this far with it right now, using it as a tool, like, it's just a matter of when. So one more time to the people who are saying, what's the next step? Why not go find Edward Lin? I think we can just chill. What's the rush at this point? Let's wait for them to make the mistake and let's pounce. Let's not force it. Let's not force the issue. Let's just let the game play out and then let's respond. The right time will come. Imagine, in fact, I'm surprised Joe Rogan hasn't reached out. It's got to be getting super fucking awkward at this point. Like, really, really awkward. He probably just hasn't reached out at this point because he was already like a little embarrassed about saying no the last time. And now we're going to have a conversation about it. End of the day, I don't even really care, man. You want to talk about crazy warp drive stuff? Let's talk about it. You don't want to talk about the plane? We don't have to talk about the plane. I don't care. Talk about wherever we want to talk about. But that would be the moment where we strike. Get an invite on Joe Rogan. Say, okay, now we're going to double down here. Now we're going to, take a shot at some people. So, yeah, we are inevitable. Where's the inevitable? And it's not just me. Again, it's you guys too. Once again, it's very important to realize I'm just representing an idea. And I always wanted to represent an idea so that it's not about me. It's about the idea of 0-point energy disclosure. Us getting what we deserve as humans. We're probably not going to get through everything tonight that I had planned. So let's go to... We got through the orbs. Okay, some more science that I want to describe to people here as well, so that everybody's caught up to speed on this. Space is not empty. That's the big rub. Space is not empty. The photons aren't moving through the vacuum. When we see light, we're seeing a disturbance in the medium. You're seeing a stimulation in the medium when you see light. Doesn't that just make way more sense? Because it's right. Because Tesla was right. Tesla was right. He knew about it back in radiant energy and all this other stuff. Quick shout out to my boy Matt and Sean Joe as well in Pilled. Thank you guys for those donations. You guys are the bomb. Appreciate it. And then also thank you very much, all my people in Rumble. I don't know how to check if I got donations in Rumble, but thank you guys very much in Rumble as well. You guys are awesome. So the science, space is not empty. Light is not a particle, and light is not bouncing around through the room here, and energy is not flowing through the wires to the light to turn the light on. None of that's how any of that works. The reason why the light turns on is the electrons locally right there are shifting. That's the reason why the light turns on. So local disturbance in the medium. Control over space and time is control over gravity. They are synonymous. Manipulation of space and time is manipulation of gravity. Manipulating distance, manipulating space-time, manipulates time and distance at the same time. There's another thing I wanted to point out too, is that the reason why we can't tell for sure where the plane is, like there is no possible way to know. Unless we see the videos on the other side, We don't know the path that the plane is taking. So I shared an image, a screenshot that shows the plane flying to the west or being teleported to the west towards the Maldives. The problem is this: we don't know the path. If this plane is doing this, then we don't know how long it was down here in the ether. For all we know, it flew around the screen 100 times before it popped back out again, right? We have no idea. We don't know how it works when you go to the nothingness, go to the ether. Are you like, how does time work while you're there? Does it matter what path you take, or does it like automatically choose the closest path? This is a big problem. And this is the hypothesis or the thought experiment that I threw out there the other day, which is if you have a portal on here that goes to Earth, to Mars, and a different portal on Mars that goes somewhere else on Earth, how will that work? I don't think we're going to know until we test it. Okay, I think that's all good. Okay, I want to talk about more stuff that I can expose the United States government. First of all, let's talk briefly about the Malaysian Airlines flight. So, Florence DeChangi said that the White House was being told every day or they were being called, the White House was calling Malaysia every day. But here's the weird part. Barack Obama wasn't talking about it. I looked up Barack Obama's schedule on March 8th, March 9th, and March 10th. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. He had nothing planned until Monday. And yet, the White House was calling Malaysia every day. Barack Obama was saying nothing about it. Barack Obama didn't speak about Malaysian Airlines until March 19th, 11 days after the plane disappeared. He only ever publicly spoke about the plane one other time, ever. Does that not seem insane to you guys? A missing airplane, the biggest mystery ever, with 4 Americans on board, only 1 adult, but 4 Americans. And the president of the United States only spoke about it twice and waited 11 days to speak about it, even though we now know that they were talking behind the scenes to Malaysia the whole time. Guys, it was obviously a cover-up. And if you don't believe it was a cover-up, then you need to watch this clip right here. I don't really need any more evidence at all other than just this clip. This clip is enough for me to be convinced that the CIA did it.
Hindsight, is that unfortunate that the decision was made, it wasn't hostile?
Well, it's not for me to judge, you know. I mean, do you want, we didn't go through a situation like the September 11th. Americans were not prepared then. And it took 2 planes to crash into 2 twin towers, Pentagon, and on the way to Washington, for them to have the present SOP. We are not at war with anybody right now. So do you really think that I want to put our Sukhois on high alert with special SOPs in that kind of situation?
But why not send the jets up?
Yes. So he just told us, he says, first of all, he brings up 9/11. Well, that's pretty weird because I was going to bring up 9/11 and say, hey, if there's a random plane flying over your country, you should be afraid it's going to fly into some buildings. Because remember when that happened on this date we call 9/11? And he goes, well, we didn't have a 9/11 here, so we're not worried about it. What kind of logical sense does that make? You haven't had a 9/11 there, so you're not worried about it? The whole point is you should be ready before a 9/11 happens. That's the point she's saying. And so, okay, his argument is we're at peace. And he's saying, well, is it the point of our jets to send them up to track a plane? Yes. In fact, you're at peace, so it's the only point of your jets. You're not at war. Those jets aren't doing anything else. What do you need your jets for? They're not going to fight anybody. So yes, quite literally, the only point of your Sukhois or jets, whatever, is to, in this case, track a extremely rare situation where a plane just goes missing. And before he gaslights me in his next sentence here, do you need military jets to do that? Apparently you do, because you lost the plane. You tell me, brother, if you have another way to track the plane without using jets, then why the hell weren't you doing that? I don't know. Go ahead, tell us.
If you have conceded earlier that you knew very early in the morning the plane was missing, there was 4.5 hours time in which to respond and find out.
It was not hostile. It was commercial. It was from our airspace. We're not at war.
Wait, why are we just saying it's not hostile? How does she skip over that? What do you mean it's not hostile? What do you mean that? Like, I live in the real world. There's not a lot of ways to know that a rogue Boeing 777 is not hostile in the world, in the reality that I live in. In fact, there's only one. There's only one way. The only one way you can know that a rogue Boeing 777 is not hostile is that you have communication with the plane. I don't need to even ask how you know, because there is only one way. You must have had communication with the plane. The plane is dark on flight tracker. So, there's nothing, no signals are coming off of it, supposedly. And we just have radar of it. How do you know that plane's not flying into the Petronas Towers? Oh, because you have communication and you know it's an emergency event. They knew it was a fire. They knew it was a fire. He's covering it up right here.
With anybody.
If they did go up, in hindsight, would you agree that we wouldn't be in the situation we are now, which is
I don't
7
think
weeks of
so. I
searching
don't think that's
and billions of
speculative.
dollars?
Even if we send it back, are you going to say that we're going to shoot it down?
Wow. Why is he
You
saying
said
that?
Not me.
No, I'm asking you.
I could not
So
possibly
what's
answer
the,
that.
if
I'm
you're
not
not
a
going to, if
Minister
not
of
going to
Defence.
shoot it down, what's the point of sending it up?
To see where it's going.
That's my favorite probably line in the whole interview. What did he think she was going to say when he said, what is the point of sending up the jets if you're not going to shoot it down? To track the plane? Isn't the whole point that you can't track the plane? Don't you want to see where the plane's going? Like, anybody that thinks that there wasn't a cover-up at play, just watch this video. Just watch this video. This is only a small part of the video. We're not even done yet. Tell me why he does what he's about to do right here. So he asked her if she would shoot down the plane. And she's like, I'm a journalist. I don't know what's happening. I'm just asking questions that you're not answering. And then he goes, well, if you're not going to shoot it down, why are you sending up a jet? And she answers the most obvious answer in the world: to see where the plane is going. Okay.
Well, to see it going, you need a fighter for that?
Yeah, apparently we do need fighter jets for that, because you lost the plane and now it's 2025 and you still lost the plane. Seems pretty clear we needed a fighter jet to be tracking the plane. He doesn't seem to be willing to admit the loss in that one, though.
Talking about military procedures. And if I did shoot it down, you'll be the first to say...
Why does he keep talking about shooting down the plane? He's the only one talking about shooting down the plane. She never brought up shooting down the plane. He brought it up. She said, I don't know why you're talking about shooting down the plane. And then when he asked, what else would you do? She gave him a perfectly reasonable answer. And for some reason, he's talking about shooting down the plane again. This guy really loves talking about shooting down the plane. Let's see. Who do you guys think he's going to blame in this scenario he's making up in his head that he's telling this woman right now for shooting down the plane? Out of all the countries in the world, which one do you think this guy is going to yell out like we're in some kind of psychotherapy session and he can't help but just blurt out the perpetrator? Which country, chat?
How can you shoot down a commercial airline with 14 nationals, half of them Chinese? I'll be in a worse position probably.
Why shoot it down, though, if it's not hostile?
Well, the Americans would.
Wow. Bro, that ending is the craziest shit.
Half of them Chinese.
Look at his face right here.
I'll be in a worse
This guy is so nervous.
position probably.
Why shoot it down though? if it's not
He is
hostile?
literally
Well, the
shaking.
Americans would.
The Americans would. Look at that facial expression. Look at the look to the side right here. That is a man right there who is afraid. That man is afraid right there. That is just, that video might go down in history. That shit is crazy. I've never seen someone get like caught up red-handed like that. It kind of reminds me of the Alex Murdaugh after he like murdered his wife and his son, and he, like they interview him, and it's just the way he's acting was so weird, like he was guilty, and he's nervous about they're gonna find something. That was the same way the impression I got off of him. That guy is terrified that the cover-up's gonna be exposed. He's terrified. He's terrified the cover-up's gonna get exposed in the interview. He's afraid that that interviewer is going to ask something and it's going to expose the cover-up and he's going to like get killed. That shit is crazy. Okay, last thing we're going to look at tonight is AEGIS. Now, I want to explain the quote-unquote satellite video for you guys. So, and I've explained this multiple times, but I think it's really important to understand that, like, we have figured out the physics, no question. We have figured out the surveillance equipment, like all of it. Like maybe we can't tell if it's an MQ-9 Reaper or an MQ-1C Gray Eagle. Oh no, we'll be fine. Okay, it's a fucking drone. It's a General Atomics drone. Good enough. But we identified the whammy footage too. I mean, we identified it now. I was never 100% sold on the Sibers thing. The connection was kind of loose, and it still could technically be part of Sibers. What's happening in the whammy footage is we've got multiple things going on here, but the footage is definitely super secret surveillance footage, as in like special forces, U.S. Navy. You know, that's what we're looking at here. We're looking at super secret footage that is whammy footage, and it is most likely, I would say almost certainly, using AEGIS IR. If you look up AEGIS IS, you will find out there's a visual whammy capabilities, and they have a DARPA version that is an IR infrared version. We're looking at it. There it is. You're staring at it. That's AEGIS IR. AEGIS IR was, the contract was signed in 2010, and it was tested out in 2012, which would mean that this was a very new system when they were recording this in 2014. A couple years old. That's AEGIS IR. And there's something else called the AEGIS system. The AEGIS system is our like anti-ballistic missile system that we use for our boats. And they are almost certainly integrated into this system. So these systems are all connected. That's basically what I'm getting at with you guys, is that the AEGIS system, the AEGIS IR, which is capturing potentially the footage and maybe even the software. The software might even have another name too. So the software that they're using to record that might have a separate name. All these systems are connected. The AEGIS system is going to use that, and maybe even AI will use video like that and detect targets. So what can happen then is that the AEGIS system has AI looking at the satellite all the time, or looking down through. They can actually be connected to satellite. It can be connected to drone. The MH370 video is actually satellite, I believe. It's whammy footage, but they're using satellite sensor data. And I'm even going to double down. They're using the exact satellite that we identified. This one, USA 229. The AEGIS and AEGIS platforms, the AEGIS IR satellites, it's not publicly known which satellites they're deployed on. So it's completely secret which satellites the AEGIS system is deployed on, this AEGIS IR. This satellite that you're looking at right here was sent into outer space. This is USA 229. And what you're looking at there is the real recreation. You can see the time at the top of the screen here. What you're looking at right here. Oh, you guys can't see it. Hold on. I'll pull this down for a second. That is 1840 UTC in the Nicobar Islands right here. That's pretty much the exact time Catherine T sees the plane. And we have 2 satellites right overhead, right above it. USA 229 was launched into space in 2011. So USA 229 perfectly fits the bill. Perfectly fits the bill for being a satellite that is equipped with Argus IR. You guys thought I was done dropping bombs tonight, but I'm not. Argus IR is filming this or with the sensor data, and I almost guarantee those satellites, USA 229, have Argus IR sensor platforms on them that is feeding the data. And before anyone comes at me about the angle isn't right, the angle doesn't matter at all. The angle in the satellite video doesn't matter at all. They have 360-degree capabilities. The way these satellites work is they have them relayed and connected to one another so that when this satellite right here goes over the horizon and is no longer in range, the next satellite's coming back around. So they have persistent coverage, at least nowadays. Back then, it might not have been perfect, but they had really good coverage. And now I would imagine they have perfect coverage. So to reiterate what I just said, the AEGIS system is technically the anti-missile system that is probably connected to Argus and other satellite platforms. The Argus IR system, it is not publicly known which satellites it's a part of, but based on the timeline of it being signed in 2010 and having the testing in 2012, the satellite launch in 2011 would fit within that time period of it potentially having the platform on it. So we've identified the platform as well. For the people that would wonder, why is the frame rate? I don't know why I'm answering this a lot, but it's fine. It's a valid question. Why is the frame rate in this video so low? Like when you watch this, oh, that's not even the right one I was going to share. Why is the frame rate in this video so low? You can see the plane looks like it's jerking. It's 6 frames per second. It's 6 frames per second because it is Argus IR. And because Argus IR is looking at a massive field of view, and this is just one tiny little area of it. That's why it's 6 frames per second. Because a computer has to render this giant field of view in real time from that data. That's why it's 6 frames per second. And before you ask, yes, it is perfectly consistent with the real capabilities of Argus IR. Between 2 and 10 frames per second. And Argus IR focuses on nighttime footage. That is nighttime in this video. There is no directional lighting and there are no shadows because that is nighttime. That's cool, huh? Look at all the shit we're learning today, chat. Man, I bet there are some CIA agents having apoplectic seizures right now. But you know what? Fuck them. Okay, let's see what we got. Actually, that's pretty much everything. The last thing I want to say is this, and then we'll go through some last donations and just have a little cool down, is that the answer is, like Tesla said, energy, frequency, and vibration. Why are waves the answer? Why is everything a wave? Because everything is vibration. That's why. If I go in the tub, and if I make a bath, the bath water will be perfectly flat. If I start to vibrate back and forth, you'll start to see wave oscillations form. That's happening in the universe everywhere. It must be. It must be happening everywhere. Frequency and vibration are the way to interact with the 0-point energy. This is another reason why Avi and the CERN is going to be wrong. If you're just doing a linear collision, you're not going to interact strongly with the 0-point energy. That's probably why you're not seeing any space-time curvature. We need vibration to make this work. We need resonance to make this work. We need spin to make this work. If you try to make a cake and you only have half the recipe, you're going to make a really shitty cake. That's the truth. Whether or not people want to believe it, that's the truth. Let's do a few donos. If we have some more, let's see. It looks like a few here. Oh, okay. One more thing I want to say too is that, wow, there's a lot of donuts. Okay. Okay, yeah, let's just do some of these. So people say, where does the plane go? So as I've mentioned before, I think the plane went towards the Maldives. It may have landed in the Maldives as well. There's actually, I found, we were going to review this tonight, but we ran out of time. Maybe we'll review it on Friday. I found another theory that someone put out there that the plane might have landed in Mali or somewhere else in the Maldives. They might have offloaded the people that were still alive and then flew it to Diego Garcia. I've always been open to other theories as long as they are consistent with the evidence, which means the plane didn't go in the South Indian Ocean for sure. Do you think they solved, thank you very much for this donation, do you think they solved the large-scale negative energy or they mimic its effects? Puthoff and Eric Davis research suggests the latter, but I'm not sure. They talk more about the inertial mass reduction and not the actual warp bubbles. So what they're saying, the gaslighting that Eric Davis does is that he claims you can't reduce mass, but then he'll say you can change the effective mass. The difference being you don't make the bottle smaller. You don't change the mass of the bottle. What you do is you change the region around the bottle, and it does the same thing. That's how Eric Davis gaslights people. And yes, for the people wondering, Eric Davis is definitely counter intel. No question. I respect the hell out of him. He's a smart-ass guy. He's the world's leading expert on warp drives and wormholes. But he's counter intel, for sure. And he's going to gaslight people, and he's going to, push people away from getting to the truth, because that's what you do when you are counter intel and protecting national security. But all of his papers are totally legit. Oh, wait, so did I answer the question? Yeah, I think that answers the question. So solving the large scales, they don't need large scale energy. It might be one of the answers. They just don't need large scale negative energy. And that, yes, if they do need it, have they figured it out? Yeah, I think so. And the trails in front of the orbs are the secret. Whatever they're doing to produce the negative energy in front of the orbs that are moving around, that is how they're producing a large enough scale to have measurable effects. Could also, though, be that the orbs themselves are weightless, which means you don't need a lot of force then to make it happen. So it's a lot of different things there at play. More to come on that. So even though I've spilled tea all over the place tonight, there's still a lot to be figured out. And we never even talked about, where did this technology come from? Who figured this out? These are great questions. John says, fine work making it all make sense. Well grounded. And below ground as well. Below ground level, everybody. So again, space is not empty. And if space is not empty, that means what we think of as zero isn't the bottom. Zero is not the bottom of the barrel. You can go below zero. And that's exactly how I described the electron with the around the hydrogen atom. We can go below her. That's negative energy if you do that. That's the misconception. Negative energy is not Harry Potter magic. It's not swirling pink mist. It's just this idea of making your energy state go lower. And there is no negative mass. It weirds me out that Avi always says negative mass, because Hal Puthoff argues there is no negative mass, because energy is just energy. We're talking about going below a certain energy level. We're not talking about a different type of mass. It's still all just mass. The energy is trapped in the 0 point energy, and when it appears to us here, it can become coherent in the form of what we call mass. Us. Okay. David R., thank you for the donation. Would an intense magnetic field tear apart the metal objects in and around the airplane? Yeah, absolutely it could. So that's why there needs to be a dead zone in the middle. So the way that they're going to be aligned, it's called a 0 point. And the 0 point is important because it can create a dead zone, or the opposite, if you want to create a singularity at the center point as well. So that's why perfect magnetic control over the plasma is required. Perfect control, not just like pretty good. And for perfect control of the plasma, it's got to be AI. My Japanese person and my kanji and katakana. Oh, wait, is that right? Man, my Japanese is not very good. Sorry, but thank you very much for the yen, even though it's diabolical. Quite historical. Humanity will learn in remembrance. Get back on track. Enlightenment. Journey becomes great creators. Quite historical. I think that's a haiku. I think this is haiku, chat. Quite historical. It is a haiku, chat. 575. Humanity will learn in remembrance. Get back on track. Enlightenment. Journey of becoming great creators. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hamdurf. I have a theory that tech has gotten to this point as a reason for its use as a way to grab a nuke that's on its way and return it from this realm. One of the things the letter to Ashton Forbes says is the phasing cannot be stopped. What do they mean when they say the phasing cannot be stopped? What they're saying is that if we were to teleport a nuke, there's no stopping it. If we teleport a nuke and teleport it back onto you, there is nothing you can do about it. There is no deterrence possible. We teleport that nuke and it is on the Kremlin. There's no reaction time. That thing's going to blow up right on you. Okay, there you go. Great missing piece of puzzle was reclaimed from deep state. Black shelf, thanks to collective effort of humanity consciousness. We got Confucius up in the chat, everybody. We got Confucius out here dropping truth bombs on us. And then Brennan, thank you very much for that donation. I also still find it crazy that one American passenger made that post on 4chan and nobody even paid attention. Like, imagine he's begging for help and nobody bats an eye. Crazy stuff. I actually had a really good rant about that where I was like, can you imagine it's your relative and there's this post and they're begging for help, saying that they're trapped? He even says that military people kidnapped them and hooded them, black bagged them, drugged them, begging for help. And instead of getting help, you've got Mick West. Literally, Mick West is the guy that debunked the Philip Wood picture. Not even joking. I couldn't make that up. Couldn't believe it when I found it. You have Mick West saying, no, this is a fake picture. That's all the hallmarks of a fake picture. And it turns out everything Mick West said was a lie. All the things Mick West said about the image being wrong were all lies. I don't want to get banned off YouTube, so I'm going to be very careful about what I'm going to say. If I was a family member of Philip Wood and I saw somebody like Mick West debunking a picture like that, it would throw me into a violent rage. It would throw me into a violent rage. So that's all I'm going to say on that. And yes, it's absolutely ridiculous that there was a picture somewhere on the internet of a person literally claiming to be one of the people on the plane, trapped prisoner, and it was completely ignored. Just dismissed without any investigation whatsoever. How is it that there's literally coordinates, exact coordinates in the picture, and the coordinates in the picture, in the metadata, are Diego Garcia military base? How are we not searching Diego Garcia military base? Yeah, you can't make this shit up. So much in this investigation, people are like, why? Ashton's just committed to the videos being real. I'm not committed to shit. To be clear, I'm not committed to anything. I'm not committed to any theories. I'm not committed to the videos being real. I'm committed to nothing. I would be just as famous if I solved the mystery of the plane and it ended up being a pilot suicide. I'm not committed to anything. Just happens they are real. I just can't even imagine, dude. Like, how did we not search Diego Garcia when there's a picture with coordinates in it of the American passenger? And the best part is Diego Garcia is keeping random people prisoners. Just like that's like the thing that they do. I don't know if you guys knew this. Look this up. In 2020, some refugees washed ashore in Diego Garcia. They were on a boat. They washed ashore there. Military kept them prisoner for 3 years. 3 years. Just didn't let them leave. At Diego Garcia. They wouldn't even let people visit them to see their conditions. Okay. We've ranted enough tonight, chat. Any last questions? Let me hit up. Let me look at Pilled here, guys. I'm gonna see if you have any good questions in the Pilled and Rumble. If you have them, throw them in there. I'm trying to think of any other major questions that people have that I have not addressed as well. As for where it comes from, the technology as well, I don't care. I don't care if it comes from aliens. I don't care if it comes from Tesla tech or if it comes from ancient civilizations or future humans. What does it even matter? It matters not at all. The only thing that's really important is that we get the truth out about where energy really comes from and how we can extract energy at much more efficient rates than we've been extracting it for a very, very long time. Someone said in the chat, Diego Garcia is like a Hotel California. You can check in, but you can never leave. Exactly. And then in Rumble, guys, thank you, Kinsei Sensei, for the dono. Shout out to Rumble. Remind folks that you're here. Thank you, Kinsei Sensei. I can't pull up your chat on the StreamYard, but I appreciate it, guys. And then also thank you to Cod Upont. Says, check this, Ashton. Keep going. Thank you, Cod Upont. Appreciate you guys for those donations on Rumble as well. I'll try to get my Rumble chat fixed up. Okay, guys, I'm going to call it a night. I've got a huge day tomorrow. Check me out tomorrow on Benny's show. It's Benny Johnson. And also check me out on Redacted with Clayton Morris. We're going to be talking about the plasma orbs. You guys got a sneak peek to the stuff I'm going to be talking about tomorrow. And give me your feedback in the comments and on X for what you think I should talk about and what you think people need to hear. What is it that I should say tomorrow that will wake people up, that will get them to break out of their paradigm that they've been stuck in? I'm not entirely sure. We'll see, guys. MH370X, guys. Love y'all. I hope you have a great night. And let's chat on Friday. And let's just do some deep science on Friday, unless we have another crazy, crazy thing happen. Later, guys. Talk to you. Peace.
Out in the fields where the skies are wide, talking about a journey through the cosmic ride. Einstein and Thorne, they set the stage for a trip through time across the space age. Wormholes connect distant points in space, traversable paths to a far-off place. No black holes pull, no crushing weight, just a cosmic tunnel to a distant gate. Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow. We're talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow. Exotic matter, negative energy's the key to stabilize the wormhole for you and me. Quantum vacuum squeezed so tight, creating conditions for this wondrous flight. Static fields and lasers in the lab they play, generating forces in a new kind of way. Gravitational squeezing, Casimir's force, negative zones we need to stay the course. Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy, travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow. Thin shell formalism plates so fine, spherical geometry we realign. Energy conditions that we must defy. For a stable wormhole, let's give it a try. Forces balancing the plate, creating the throat, open the gates, from Earth to the stars in a single bound, a shortcut through space profound. Engineers and dreamers hold the key to future worlds and what we could be. With science in hand, we forge ahead through the cosmic paths that we now tread. talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy. Travel through the cosmos, it's star destiny. MH370, where did it go? Boeing 777 through a wormhole flow. From the fields to the stars, we break the chains. Understanding the universe, we make the gains. Lil Crunk shines, bringing truth to light. Through his music, we'll explore the night. With wormholes and stargates,